And today we're coming with one purpose, and that is to fight against the propaganda and the lies that is not only coming out of the Kremlin and Vladimir Putin's mouth, but it's also coming out, unfortunately, the President of the United States, Donald Trump's mouth. Last night after the live, as the live was ending last night, new video was coming in and I was sharing it live and we were just looking at it together. And the misinformation, the disinformation, the assault of Russian propaganda that has been rolling through our nation, the United States, for decades and decades and decades, all the way back the 50s when Brezhnev was at the United Nations. Guys, we are seeing the reality of it right now, and there's no other word to describe it but shocking. It is absolutely shocking what is coming out of the president's mouth in regard to Ukraine. But we're going to look at it, we're going to defend against it, we're going to fight against it, and we're going to stand for Ukraine. We're going to stand for Volodymyr Zelenskyy and for those heroes that are fighting every day. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing, liking, commenting. Put this on your other social media platforms. I'm going to give you today, over the next 7 or 8 minutes, the real numbers of Zelensky's approval rating. I'm going to tell you also that Keith Kellogg is in Ukraine. I'm going to share that with you and what's happening there. These are facts. And then also I have 3 clips to play for you of Putin's first words talking about that debacle yesterday, the debacle being the meeting between the United States and Russia in Saudi Arabia, and then the venom that was spewed out of Donald Trump last night, U.S. time. So guys, here we go. Thank you. Let's jump right in and take a look at it. This is the fact. Donald Trump last night saying that Volodymyr Zelenskyy has 4% approval rating. Volodymyr Zelenskyy has never had a 4% approval rating. When he was elected in 19, this is the chart here. I know you can't read it. I'll interpret it for you. The blue states, I am for this person. The orange states, I am not for. And then the gray says, I don't want to say. So for, against, no comment. Of course, when he was elected in 19, 80% for, 9% against, 11% no opinion. By 22, it's 37% for, 52% against. But that was January when the war broke out and he defended his nation like a hero. Instantly, 90% was his approval rating. And as the war has raged on now for 3 years, we now in February of 2025 are looking at a 57% approval rating versus a 37% disapproval rating and a 6% that doesn't want to say. This is not even close to the 4% numbers. In fact, I would even suggest that these numbers, I've seen it on other sources, are equal to that of what Trump is experiencing in the United States right now, if not even better. So ladies and gentlemen, you know, before you start throwing stones and lies at President Zelenskyy, maybe you need to take a look in your own backyard. So that is the real numbers, in case you were wondering, these statistics coming directly out of Ukraine. Additionally, yes, Keith Kellogg is in Kyiv. As of this point in time, he has not met with Volodymyr Zelenskyy. He's meeting with Andriy Yermak, head of the office of the president. And Yermak is just setting the tail straight. He says Russia is lying to set Ukraine and the United States at odds. Directly, he stated that to Kellogg. Yermak also stated to Kellogg, Kyiv is interested in the United States being on the side of truth and justice, and it is on our side. Truth and justice is on our side. Remember yesterday in the live, if you didn't see it, go back and check it out. It was full of information. Both sides, Marco Rubio, Lavrov, everybody was saying we want an acceptable end, an acceptable end. Guys, we don't want an acceptable end. We want an end to this war that is just, fair, and is on the side of truth. That's it. Yermak says it is important for us that Keith Kellogg receives full information about what is happening at the front, about the resilience and the spirit of our nation, which have remained unchanged all these years. Kyiv wants relations between Ukraine and the United States to remain open, to be governed by trust and the principles of mutual success. Guys, that is a very direct statement. You may ask, why would you even consider, is there a possibility United States-Ukrainian relations closing? I don't think so. But when you have the President of the United States Tell the world publicly that this guy is a clown, Zelenskyy, needs to be changed, has a 4% approval rating, and the war in Ukraine is his fault. Kind of going to be difficult for your nation to have relationship with that person and the nation they represent, Ukraine and United States. That was before these comments from Yermak came out, before this next thing came out. Donald J. Trump tweeting just recently, think of it, a modestly successful comedian, Volodymyr Zelenskyy, talked the United States of America into spending $350 billion to go into a war that couldn't be won, that never had to start, but a war that he, without the U.S. and Trump, how egotistical you put your own name in capital letters, will never be able to settle. Come on, EU. The United States has spent $200 billion more than Europe, and Europe's money is guaranteed, while the United States will get nothing back. I don't know where he's getting that information from. I guess the same place he got the 4%. Why didn't sleepy Joe Biden demand equalization, in that this war is far more important to Europe than it is to us? We have a big, beautiful ocean as separation. On top of this, Zelenskyy admits that half the money we sent him is missing, capital letters. He refuses to have elections. No, he doesn't. It's very low in Ukrainian polls. No, he isn't. And the only thing he was good at was playing Biden like a fiddle. Wow. A dictator without elections. This is Donald Trump stating this about Zelenskyy. Zelenskyy better move fast, or he is not going to have a country left. In the meantime, we are successfully negotiating an end to the war with Russia. Therefore, folks, leaving Ukraine out of the negotiation, we are successfully negotiating an end to the war with Russia. I remind you that Russia is the invading nation, evil dictator Vladimir Putin. Something I'll admit only Trump, all caps, and the Trump administration can do. That's what Marco Rubio said. Biden never tried. Europe has failed to bring peace, and Zelenskyy probably wants to keep the gravy train going. I love Ukraine, but Zelenskyy has done a terrible job. His country is shattered, and millions have unnecessarily died. And so it continues. There is no commentary I can give. Everything that you have a question about, Donald Trump just stated it right there directly. We do not need to interpret it. We know exactly his position. No Zelenskyy. Zelenskyy's a comedian. It's Zelenskyy's fault. Zelenskyy has destroyed global relationships, but Trump, and only Trump, can fix it with Vladimir Putin, and Russia will end this war. Millions have unnecessarily died. Yeah, they have. Because Russia invaded. Now, maybe you're wondering, so you've heard from Trump. This is Trump, okay? And we heard from Trump last night. Maybe you're here now and you're going, okay, have we heard anything from Putin, Greg? Do you have anything at all from Putin? And the answer to that is yes, I do. There's three things. The first video clip I'm going to play for you directly, Putin speaking today in regard to those meetings in Saudi Arabia, and also in regard to the things that Donald Trump is saying. He talks about resuming normal relationships with the United States and how important it is. Here it is.
I've been briefed on 2 points which I value highly. There are results. First, I'd like to say we agreed to resume normal operations of diplomatic agencies. Constant expulsion of diplomats from Washington or Moscow leads nowhere good. If this continues, only cleaners will work in these buildings. Their work is valuable, but it's not why diplomatic missions exist. That's first. Second, in my view, we've taken the first step to resume work in various areas of mutual interest. This includes the Middle East, broadly speaking, including our presence in Syria, the Palestinian-Israeli conflict, and so on. There are many issues where both the US and Russia are involved, despite the fact that we prioritize the situation related to Ukraine. But we have other issues too, like the economy and our joint work in global energy markets.
Well, there you have it, folks. That's his first statement coming out, and you are seeing it translated very well. The first thing that's coming out of the Saudi Arabia meetings is we're normalizing relationships again. This is very important. We need to have the people working in each other's nations and not just the cleaners of the buildings there, but our people need to be there working and partnering together. Yes, so the spy machine can continue. That's exactly what we need. Secondly, we need to understand that we partner together in so many things. The Middle East, Syria. We have the priority of Ukraine, the priority, a war zone, a war-torn nation that is being leveled to the ground in scorched earth policy, where Russia rains down shaheeds and missiles and meat assaults the front lines 24/7, 365. He says, but it's just a priority of Ukraine. We also have economic partnerships, global energy. He continues on to talk about working together in space. Guys, it is unbelievable. It is just like there is no Ukraine war, and he's loving it. You have to understand, because while that's happening, while he's saying these things and Donald Trump is talking so negatively about Zelenskyy and Ukraine, shaheeds are flying, missiles are flying, targets are being hit, hospitals are being destroyed, schools are being destroyed, and the front lines are hell on earth. While all of these people, Trump and Putin in the background, are talking this fantasy world, this absolute fantasy world. Second video clip I have from you in regard to Putin. He says, nothing is our fault in negotiations.
Russia has never refused contact with Europeans. Russia has never refused negotiation process with Ukraine. Never. It's our let's say, partners in these talks who refused, cut off contact with Russia. Europeans and Ukraine banned itself from talks, left the negotiation process in Istanbul.
Russia has never refused negotiations. Any reason that there have been no negotiations in this war is never our fault. It's Ukraine's fault. It's Europe's fault. It's America's fault. It's whoever's fault. We have zero fault. And you heard him there. He says, never. Never. Guys, the chess game being played on a level that is Garry Kasparov. It is unbelievable. And then the United States will just consume this, obviously, as we see. When you have Tucker Carlson talking in this ear of Donald Trump and you have Elon Musk talking in this ear of Donald Trump, what do you expect? But trashy stuff like this, which is nothing but a tweet of lies. That's it. A tweet of lies. Now, the final. And of course, Putin has to say something about Trump. I respect him. I am generally surprised by the restraint of the newly elected president of the United States of America in relation to his allies who have behaved in a rude manner. He actually behaves quite intelligently in relation to them. And they do not close themselves off from this. If we talk about the resolving of the Ukrainian situation, the United States of America works with its European allies. And as far as I know, Mr. Kellogg is currently in Kyiv, and before that he had meetings with Europeans, and now the president of France is going to Washington. You can see, guys, he's all over top of it. Yeah, it's just amazing the restraint that Trump has shown for these allies, these European allies. And I know he's also referring to Ukraine itself, the restraint Trump has shown. And the restraint, these are the same talking points. The restraint Trump is showing in regard to his allies is the same as this evil verbiage coming out of Donald Trump's pen today, or phone, or mouth, or whatever it is. This is what they're talking about. And they are just love festing on each other. They're loving each other because they know in their minds, they're the answers to all of the situations. So I just have utmost respect that he's able to do this. I know what's going on. I know Keith Kellogg is in Kyiv, and I know that America has European allies, but I'm really amazed at the restraint that Donald Trump has been able to hold while working with his partners. Ladies and gentlemen, that is where we're at right now this afternoon, February the 19th. What happens next? I don't know. But I want to remind you that this is a war, and the heroes on the front lines are fighting right this very second. While Trump and Putin are spewing lies, heroes are fighting. Heroes are dying. Heroes are sacrificing. They're fighting for their sovereignty. They're fighting for their country, their way of life. They're fighting for you and I. They're fighting for truth and justice. And ladies and gentlemen, if you are on the edge of getting discouraged, do not be discouraged. We do not give up. That's it. People may comment in the comments and say, you're an idiot. It's over. It's not over until the fat lady sings, and she hasn't sung yet. We stand for truth. We do not give up. You guys be blessed. Have a great day. We'll be back at you later.